Hello, I'm David Hunt, and welcome to The Art Hunter. My guest today, he's a Melbourne Greek boy, jack of all trades in film, television, theatre, moved to LA for many years. I was hanging out on the sets of a lot of films, hanging out with Robert De Niro. We'll get to that a little bit later. He's such a name drop here, it's unbelievable. His skills as a film doctor, what's a film doctor? Who the hell knows? We'll find out that a little bit later on as well. And acting lessons in LA. Back in Australia, he now has the Melbourne Actors Lab and developing scripts and making a few short films along the way. Here he is. Get ready, people. He'll try to take over the whole interview, but I'll try to keep him under control. Let's do it. His name is Peter. What's your surname?
Kalos.
Kalos. How could you have a name like Kalos when you're a good Greek boy? No way in the world is that your real surname.
I was born with it. So it got changed before I was born. And basically what I've heard is my dad got a job as a bus conductor or something.
Tram, probably, or tram
It was
conductor.
in Greece.
In Greece,
yeah,
right.
And it didn't fit. So he cut it to Kalos. And that's all I know.
Okay, what
it was Kalogeratos, which means good old man.
Good old man, oh my gosh.
And they cut the old man out,
yeah.
And now I'm just good. Kalos means good, Kalos.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it means good.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start off. Who and what is an actor?
An actor. It's an actor, the best way I can describe it, our job, and it is a job, is to portray as honestly and as truthfully a character who happens to be going events based on a script. Our job is not to mimic them.
Yep.
Not to do the ego thing. I'm a peacock, look at me. As I said recently, the audience doesn't go to a film to see actors perform. They go to see a character going through it.
True.
We are the vehicle of the script,
yep.
which brings it out there. And the thing is, it's not enough to, which we'll talk about at one stage, it's not enough just me as an actor just to do the lines. Because Stella Adler, you say, if I just did the lines, I might as well stay home. So why do you need the actor?
Yeah.
Why do you need the actor? Because the actor gives you all the gravy behind just the lines. And that's where it fits.
And we also love that whole experience of sitting in a theatre or
Yes.
watching film and experience a story that it might be familiar, but it might be quite bizarre as well.
Right, and I still can't watch films on this kind of stuff. I have to...
On the palm of your hand. Phones,
all these phones and
yeah,
things. I
yeah.
have to do the whole cinematic experience. Get to a movie theater or a big screen of some level and uninterrupted.
Okay, and so therefore you can't watch on your television the streaming films as well, because there's so much. But there's so much now.
Yeah,
You're even trying to go after. We'll get to this later.
But I want to make an event of it, like we're going to watch a film.
Okay.
I think, and you'll understand this, I think it came from the early days living here in Melbourne. There was like 4 channels, and movies were on Friday night,
Probably.
from 8:30 to 10:30.
Yep.
And then from 10:30 to 12:30. And Saturday morning, they had a lot of Roman epics and a lot of Jerry Lewis and
That's
Elvis
right.
films.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Saturday night, Friday night, Saturday night were movie nights.
Right.
That was my introduction into the movie world.
Yep.
And I still have that experience with watching a movie.
So why did you want to become an actor? Because your journey after you left school wasn't acting, but you'd done a little bit of Greek?
I did Greek theatre early on here in Melbourne. We spoke about this at a place called Bennett's Lane.
Yep.
It was, now it's known, or I assume it's still there, Bennett's Lane Jazz Club.
That's right.
But before that, there was a group of Greek theatres running around, and they bought that place. It was a garage, a mechanic shop, and they built it into a theatre. And that's when they started doing Greek theatre. Where the love of it came, it either came from me watching films, going, wow, I love this storytelling culture, and the other stuff, and I realized this as I got older, a lot of it also had to do with my immediate family. Some uncle coming over telling us a good joke, some uncle, very animated people work, and I thought that I loved that telling aspect of it. And that's when I went to Greek theatre before I left here.
Okay, and
That stage.
Open Channel, you got involved in Open Channel.
Open
and you
Channel-
did a few ads as well?
Yes, Open Channel at the time. I remember a guy named Mac Gudgeon, and I've never heard of him since then, but he was a big influence. It was a short course.
Yeah.
But Mac taught us all about this stuff, cameras and stuff, right? And Open Channel at the time was somewhere in Collingwood. It wasn't a big place, literally a room. Now it's become bigger to some extent. But I wanted to understand not just the acting side of stuff, the camera. I don't want to know it, but I know it enough so I'm comfortable around it.
Yep.
I understand how it all works, and that's all I need to know about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it was he influenced us go, and you know what happened? We video cassettes. I actually remember this in the early 80s. A submarine came from America and landed here in Port Melbourne.
Yeah.
And we met this sailor at 2:00 in the morning waiting for a train. And he looked hungover, all these things, and we said, "What are you waiting?" He goes, "I'm waiting for a tram." And we said, "Well, there's no tram at 2:00 in the morning." And we gave him a ride, and we took it to the submarine.
Right.
And then me and my fellow student there, we actually made a short documentary about this guy. And they told us not to air it because we'll get in trouble.
Him into trouble, yeah.
But it was an amazing documentary, you know.
So you leave school,
and
you're doing a course at uni.
Yeah.
But you weren't spending much time at uni. There was something going on across the road.
Rusden College. There was Melbourne, Monash Uni.
Yeah.
And across the street was Rusden College.
And what was that?
It had a theatre department or an acting department.
Yep.
And I at the time was studying science. I was good at it. I didn't have to do any effort at it. It just came to me naturally.
Yeah.
I wish my kids had it. But I didn't care about it. So I kept on going to the acting class or the theatre class. A lot of it was, I don't want to say boring, but it was, you know, ancient Greek theatre and where the plays came from. And it was like, oh my God, can we just get to the acting stuff? How do you do acting? How do you learn acting? But I didn't turn up to the science courses. And my teacher said, "You're never here. What's going on?" And I said, "I'm across the street at Rusden, you know."
But how could you do that? You know, like you weren't paying to do the course at the actors' school.
No.
Well, how did you get away with it?
It was very easy those days. There was no computers and shit. You just turn up and you say, "I'm here in this course." And the teacher said, "Sure, we're here every Thursday." And you just kind of snuck in. And they didn't care. It was a lecture and you just hung in the background. And then what happened is when they saw you having lunch with everyone, they just assumed you were there.
Right, okay.
And if you turn up 3 of the 4 classes, they assume you're there.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I never did any of the paperwork. I never.
No roll call that.
No roll call, nothing. Just
Wow.
turn up.
Yep.
You know, it was a lecture.
It's-
And eventually, later on, one of the lecturers knew. He said, "I don't care."
Oh, okay.
He goes, "I'd rather have someone who wants to be in my class."
Absolutely.
I said, "But I'm paying the people next door. I'm not paying you.
Do you want to get the money?
Do you want to
off
get
of
the
them?
money off them?" And back then there was no price tag.
Yeah.
You didn't pay. Well, I think it was free or something. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Unless someone else paid, maybe my parents. But I don't remember.
probably
paying.
still paying it off.
They're probably still
in
paying it off. So,
heaven.
no, it wasn't a big financial thing back then.
Right.
You know.
Now, tell us, you had an experience with an Indigenous person. You went on a bit of a journey.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us that.
I was at the movies, as we do, and at Greater Union Cinemas, Russell Street, I think it was. Next to it, there's a bar, which is still there. And I was sitting at the bar, and I see this Aboriginal guy, and I said to him, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Fitzroy." And I said, No, where are you really from?" And basically, I said to him, at the time, I didn't identify Greek or Australian. I just said, "Look, my parents are Greek." I said, "But if something happened tomorrow, there's a good chance they'd pack up and go back to Greece. If something happened, where would you go?" And that's a discussion I have with him. And I remember his eyes just went to another place. And I said to him, "That place," I still remember, I said, "That place right there is where I want to go." And he said to me, "It's a place called Angaja." And he said, to get there, it's a beautiful way how he described it to me. He said, "Here's how it works. If someone enters your front door, I have to go open the door, let you in. We don't have front doors. You turn up to the Alex Theatre and you say, I'm here to see David." And David said, "Who sent you?" And if I say Simon or Alan, then you know I've been sent there. And he said, "Go to this tribe, get to Alice Springs, drive down, go down, whatever it was. I went there by plane and got there by God knows how. And then he said, go to this village or this town, ask for that person. Go to that town, ask for that person. At the time, I had to go to Pentridge Prison to ask for one guy to get the name for the next town. That's a true story. Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And I got there.
Yeah.
And I finally got down to Angaja and spent 2 or 3 months there. It was 1 week the first time. I went there the second time, spent 3 or 4 weeks, and then went there. And I met this, they used to call me Jalaku, which means happy, smiling face. And I met this guy named Ilijara, who was the elderly person there. Hardly spoke to me, but he was the one telling all these amazing stories. And what happened is, as I'm leaving, he said to me, where are you going? And I said, I don't think I even made up my mind. I said to him, I want to pack up everything and go to America and study acting. And all he said to me was, as long as it has movement and sound in it. And it's funny because writing and acting have always been siblings in my life. And I said, well, I want to do writing. And he goes, it has movement and sound. And I said, what? And he goes, the writing of the pen, the movement of the pen, and the sound is in your head. That's what he told me.
Wow.
And I went, wow. And I'm not kidding you. He said to me, go up to the mountain, say goodbye to it. And I'm like, the last thing I want to do is climb a freaking mountain to say goodbye to it. He took me up there, that's where we had the discussion, and he left, and I couldn't stop crying.
Wow.
Just looking at the land, which they told you about. That's what happened. And I came back, I was not smart enough, I just figured I caught the Ghan, the train, back, which was cheap as chips, as they say here, which I've heard that. And it was, but I needed it, because you couldn't just come back on, you needed time to adjust to society. And that hit me quite, and that's it. That's what stayed there.
How old were you when you moved to LA?
I was 20.
Right.
19, 20.
That's young.
It is young.
Yeah,
with no internet.
especially back then.
No internet, no Facebook, no nothing.
Yeah.
You just kind of turn up and you don't have a clue where you're going. I went with a friend and she came back after a year and I ended up staying for 20 years.
Right. What did you do when you first got there?
When I first got there, I had a plan, and the plan was, there was no internet. You had to call. I still remember the phone number, all right? I called the Lee Strasberg Institute. I said, I want to come to, study with you guys. And they said, bring us your money. That's the first thing they ask you. How are you paying for this? And you go, whoa, right?
It is America.
It is America. They said, bring us your money and you can come in. And I'm not kidding you, that's what it comes down to. And what happened is it took me a year, but after I left the whole walkabout thing, I came back and I was still going to Monash officially. And I said, I got to get a job. How am I going to raise 10 grand? You needed 10 grand. Back then it was a lot of money. You needed 10 grand. And you had to show the government you got 10 grand. So I got a job at the Regency Hotel, which is now the Sofitel Hotel. And I figured I'm the worst waiter in the world. So I'll get a job at midnight to 8:30 in the morning, because no one can see you messing it up. And that whole experience is a whole other film. It's hysterical, the stuff you get up with. You're like 19, 20, midnight to 8:30, that's party time. You know what I'm saying? You're working as a room service waiter. Oh, fun, right?
Drinking the empty bottles.
Drinking everything. Everything you got to go meeting people on the weekends. And one day, it's interesting how the world works. One day, Mr. Toyota came by. There's an actual Mr. Toyota. Or he's a family guy. And what happened is he used to only want me to serve him, because they used to do, literally, he used to have someone checking his food, fear of poisoning. And he had a bodyguard there. And I said to the bodyguard, who was an Australian guy, why is he here? And he goes, he's got an engine. And if it gets approved, the stock will skyrocket. If it doesn't get approved, the stock will plummet. He says, if I was you, I would go buy the stock tomorrow and sell it before next Thursday, because that's when it gets done. I had zero money. I went to the guy we mentioned, Spiro Echo. I went to his brother, borrowed $500, got $500. I got $1,000. This was no internet. I had to go downtown to Melbourne, find some stockbroking company, gave them $1,000. I said, I want to buy $1,000 of this stock. And the stock went from 1 to 5 in 4 days. I sold it for 5. I thought I was Donald Trump. And I bought a piece of land in Venus Bay
Okay.
for $5,000,
Yeah.
and like an idiot sold it 6 months later for $12,000. And that's exactly how I made my money to go to America.
Right.
Now that block of land is worth about $400,000. Right?
But hold on, you needed that money.
I needed it. I couldn't get that. I can't save. I'm not the kind of guy that saves money. I
Yep.
can't raise $10,000.
Yeah.
And that was just by luck. That guy gave me the tip. I
Wow.
bought that. And
Wow.
someone said, invest in land. How do you freaking buy land? And that's exactly how I got it.
All right. So here you are. You're in LA.
In LA, and I was going to go to the Lee Strasberg Institute, and a
Yep.
cab driver who I met, an amazing, very good personal friend of mine, he said to me, there's a woman named Stella Adler. And I said, who's Stella? And he dropped me off there. I arrived on a Friday. It was Martin Luther King Day. Monday night, I was in Stella's class. And I went to Stella's class, and she just blew me away. Ruthless, not kind, not polite, fair, to be fair to her. Extremely fair, but absolutely ruthless. She would kick you off stage for wearing the wrong shoes, the wrong ring, the wrong hand, the wrong this, the wrong, get off my stage, get off my stage. And she'd say, it's wrong and I'll tell you why. And she was right, you can't argue with Stella. She made you read plays consistently. She was very fair, but the other thing I learned with Stella is this: once you got kicked off stage, you didn't get to go on stage the next day. There were so many bookings that you didn't get to go on stage for 3 months.
Whoa.
And I realized the first time, I said, when do I get back on stage? And someone looked at the book and said, well, we've got an opening, 12 weeks from now. And I said, I've just paid for 12 weeks. And the guy said to me, well, this is your lesson. Next time you get on stage, don't fuck it up.
Wow.
Because how many chances do you think you're going to get?
So how did you react to that?
Panicked. Oh my God, I'm going to run out of money. Oh my God, I've been there for 3 months. And the rest of the time, you watched a lot of other people do work, and you did scenes. There was 2 women there, Joanne Linville, and the other one there was Joanne. I can't remember the other one. It'll come to me. And they used to do the classes after Stella, so you picked one of them too. And I just panicked, and I was a very good student. I still have my notes, writing what Stella said, And when Stella died, a couple of years later, they took over the school, and people literally picked teams. But that's when I went to the Lee Strasberg Institute, because I thought I originally came here to study with Lee. Let me go look at Lee's stuff, But by then I had the drive in me to be really good in class, because that's what I learned. They don't mess around.
Sure.
It's not a casual thing. You better know everything. You better get your shit together.
And you've learned a great lesson, as it should be.
And I was lucky enough to learn that from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? And after that, being on stage meant you're on stage. It's not just a class.
Yep.
I'm here to give it my best foot forward.
Yep.
And I think I said to you when I got to Strasberg, there was 8 teachers there. 5 of them, I say they were shit, and they were. 3 of them were amazing. One of those 3 was a Japanese-Italian guy who was just as ruthless as Stella, Mark Marno. Loved him to death. But he's the one that literally grabbed you by the throat and said, don't waste my time. And once he did grab me by the throat, and he said, why are you here? I said, what do you mean? He goes, why did you come here? Because I was getting caught up in all the wrong things in LA. Partying, getting caught up in school politics, which teacher does what, partying some more. And he literally grabbed me by the throat. I walked past the photocopy machine. He said, I want you to remember why you're here. And I said, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm here to study acting.
Yeah.
I didn't say become an actor.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I said, I'm here to study acting. Yeah.
Tell me about this guy called Barry.
Barry Primus. He is, if you Google his name, you're going to go, I know that guy. Barry's one of these people that everyone knows his face, but not everyone knows who he is. Mm-hmm. Barry I met because of a guy named Michael Ebert, who is Alex Ebert's father. Michael Ebert's he's in a band by chance called Eric Sharp and the Magnetic Zeros, amazing singer. I met Alex when he came here to do a workshop, acting workshop, through a guy named Peter Sardi, who had his own school, and he still does. Me and Peter are still very good friends. And so when I went there, I had nowhere to stay, and I called Michael. I said, hey man, I'm in town. And he said, good, where are you staying? And I thought, I was hoping to stay at your place, but he said, no, get a hotel, right? So I stayed there, and he knew a guy named Barry Primus. Yep. So when I was at Strasberg, some guy quit his day job. I said, what are you doing? He goes, I almost did the accent. He was a hairdresser, Austrian hairdresser. And he goes, I'm a script doctor. And I'm like, the fuck is that? And he goes, you read scripts. So he told me about Barry. And I went to Barry's house, and Barry said, read a script, tell me what you think. And I read a script, told him what I thought, and somewhere in that discussion we brought up Michael Liebert, so I think that helped me get the gig. Barry said, I'm looking for someone, I need someone to read scripts. He's an actor. Every famous person knows Barry. And because he knew them all before they were famous. He met De Niro before he was famous. He met Al Pacino. And I remember once in LA, as you do, you walk down the streets and Dustin Hoffman was there. And he said, what are you doing up this part of town? I said, I'm going to Barry's house. And he said, he's the best amongst all of us. And I said, you know Barry? He goes, everyone knows Barry. But Barry didn't have the commercial success like the others.
Yeah. Can I just stop you there? A script doctor. Let's talk about what is a script doctor, because I didn't really know until you told me. So let's tell
Okay, if you write a script, there's many different classifications. You're known as the script writer.
Yep.
Right? Now, if you sell it to the studios, you don't own it anymore.
Yep. You don't get any...
No, you get money.
But you
don't get a credit.
Yeah.
But it's not yours.
Right, okay.
They can blow it up if they like, or they can leave it on the shelf. Or they pay you a lot less, and you are still writing it.
Right, okay.
Means make changes.
Right.
And what they do is they have a ghostwriter, which means ghost because you don't get a credit, and they say, fix this script up. We want to make it look like this.
An editor, would that be called an
no.
editor? No.
As a script doctor, as a ghostwriter, you actually write.
Right.
As a script doctor, you don't actually write. As a script doctor, you say, I think scene 3 needs work. Now, if they've got 7 script doctors and all of them say scene 3 needs work, they then go back to the writer, say, fix scene 3.
Okay.
Or they go back to the ghostwriter, say, fix scene 3. You don't actually write because then you need a credit. We just look at it and say, cut this person out, start a lot later, don't start over here, start at page 20, put this scene at the end, structure stuff.
Yep.
You can knock out little words here and stuff, right? But you don't actually write. You make a lot of notes.
Yeah.
For the average script, 100 pages, 110,
Yeah.
you make about 20 pages worth of notes, right?
And did you enjoy doing that?
Loved it.
Yeah. And you would have learnt a lot from that.
You learnt a lot, and I think what happened is, and I've realized this, a lot of my strengths in script writing comes in the structure of the scene and dialogue. And the dialogue purely came from Stella, which made you read one play after the next.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. So Barry was good friends, as you said,
good friends with Robert De Niro.
And I've seen a photo with you and De Niro.
Yes.
How was he? Was he a big star at that stage?
He was a big. What happened is when I first met him, Barry was directing a film called The Mistress. It's about a guy who fell in love. The Mistress was his project, his script.
Yep.
And in that film was Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken, Eli Wallach, brilliant actor, Danny Aiello, Gene Smart. I'm trying to think all these names. And Barry, I was about to leave. At that time, all this happened, by the way. I got there in January, and by November, all this had happened. Literally less than a year.
Wow.
And I'd run out of money, and I thought, shit, I got to leave, to go back to Melbourne. And Barry said, I need an assistant on this project. Here's the script. We can go over the script. We can do this. And I said, okay, I got to make it happen. And what happened is I got the job with Barry, and De Niro just finished filming Cape Fear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Love that film.
Yeah. We hadn't seen it at the time.
Yep.
And I met him in a parking lot in LA, and he literally had the same hairdo, right?
It's scary.
Yeah, it's scary. But don't forget, we hadn't seen the film yet, so we didn't know the scary part. But I had spoken to him on the phone once. One day the phone rang, and he goes, "Is Barry there?" And I said, and Barry goes, "That was Bob." And I'm like, fuck. So what happened is I met him, and I thought I'll never see him again. So I took one photo as a young kid. I said, Mr. De Niro, because Barry said you're going to meet Bob and all this stuff. And I said, can I take a photo? So I took a photo, and I thought, oh my God, I've arrived. And then my life looked like I was going to come back here. But I managed to stay there. And then I got to meeting him a few times. We worked on the set together, meaning I worked with Barry. What that does, because you're Barry's assistant, and I wasn't his assistant in terms of go get me coffee.
Yep.
I was his assistant and said, hey, let's brainstorm. What do you think about that scene? What do you think about that moment?
Yep.
So he brought me immediately to the inner circle of filmmaking. Because then I would see Barry rehearse with Bob. I would see Barry rehearse with Christopher Walken, Barry rehearse with all these people.
That is priceless.
You can't buy that. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, that happened literally in the first year of being there. So that's when I started looking at what did I learn in class?
Yep.
These 5 things. They don't use these 2. They only use these 3 things. And that's when I started finding my voice as an acting teacher. Going, I don't need this shit. I don't need that shit. I do need this. I do need that. They do this and this and this. And on the way home, me and Barry would talk about these things. Because Barry had studied with Strasberg and all these people, and we'd say, what about this, what about this? And Barry said, don't worry about that, don't worry about this, da, 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 da. And then you'd be on this film on the set the next day. So that film took 6 weeks of actual filming. And also because of that, there was an amazing, not good, amazing woman named Gail Levin. She was a casting agent. And she ended up casting a lot of Tom Cruise movies, and she also cast Gilbert Grape. And I also learned a lot because I was her cameraman. Barry said, be with...
Hold on, cameraman? When did this come about?
When Gail was...
Come on, people.
When Gail was doing all her casting, she did casting for that film, Mistress, and then she went on to cast Gilbert Grape. I was her cameraman.
But how did you learn camera?
I didn't. I learned on the spot. It was just a basic camera with a VHS cassette.
Oh, so these cameramen here, you say, oh, there's only basic
but it was basically a VHS cassette, and my job was to film them. But my job was to film them, and I told you, I still have 3 cassettes of Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken on my desk to this day, and I'm a mess. They're just sitting there. They're probably rotten.
Disintegrated.
I should disintegrate it. I should find someone to... Anyone got a VHS?
No, that's really hard to get a copy.
Yeah, exactly. I should find someone to transpose the VHS cassette onto digital, whatever the hell it is. But that also, the biggest lesson in that was listening to what the producer and the director and everyone else said the moment the actor left the room. That was priceless.
Okay, yeah.
And not just priceless, after a while also, you knew when the other actor coming in had it or didn't have it. And you can tell right away. You just go, not there, not there. And one big lesson I remember, and this is the big lesson for the Australian film industry. There's an actor, I don't know his name, but I remember his face because now he's become somewhat successful. And he walked into this audition and he was horrible. Horrible. And Gail said to him, and he started to cry. She says, don't cry, nothing personal. I know you've got this. I know it's inside you, but you're just getting nerves get to you. If I gave you more time, come back and do it well. And she said to him, I'm here till 5. Go out there, come back anytime between 5. I remember this. It was 10:30 in the morning. He had from 10:30 till 5 p.m. He sat in the other room doing his work until 4:15 he came back. And it was a lot better. And she said to him, if you'd come back and it was exactly the same, you'd never work in this town again. You wasted my time. But it's a lot better. You're still not going to get the role.
Oh, okay.
Not going to get the role. But he does have a career now. He's got other things. I said, what a beautiful casting agent to do that, to guide him, to talk to him, to give him the opportunity to come back. And he did come back. You know.
That's a great story. Hey, I've got to ask you, when I was doing some research with you the other day, you actually said America versus Australia in the film industry. You thought I was going to forget about that, didn't you? Come on. What did you mean? In other words, Australia's crap and they should learn a lot from America. Is that what you're saying?
I get a lot of slack for saying this. I actually do. And I say it. My students are lovely. They really are a family to me. And every time I post something on Facebook, they edit it or they cut it back or someone takes, who put this up? And I'm like, I did. Take it down. I don't think we have a shit industry. I think we are 10,000 years behind. And it has nothing to do with money. This is the excuse.
But hold on, you hear more and more these days about the Australians and, and cameramen and their set designers and this and that, and actors going overseas and they're loved in America. But
that's the key point. They go overseas. They should stay here. Why aren't they here is the big question.
Well, there's not the work.
Why?
I don't know.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
We just spoke about all the 80s concerts and the nightclubs in Melbourne.
Yep.
And we said that would make a great film. We just spoke about, I think there's an amazing film called Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. Sidney Lumet, Philip Seymour Hoffman. You must watch it if you haven't. Brilliant,
no, I don't know.
Right?
Yep. What's it called again?
Before the Devil Knows You're Dead.
Okay.
And it's about two brothers and they hold up a jewelry shop. That's all I'll tell you. Simple story. I remember watching that film going, this can be made in Melbourne. It should have been made in Melbourne. There are some amazing simple stories here that need to be made. What you need is to get the writing and ferment it. We don't ferment our work. We finish as writers and we go, I finished my story. Yeah, you go from A to Z. That's when the work begins. You've told me the story. Now, ferment it. Does he say hi or hello? Or did he say nothing? With that fermentation process, you also get your actors early. Now, 80%, and I say this, I don't care how much, whatever it's called I get, backlash. 80% of actors in our industry are not actors.
Whoa.
Remember, and I've been in arguments with this, a lot of people, and it's not ego. I've been around actors.
Yep. And
I know the difference. De Niro, to this day, finds people to study with. I'm not here to sell you classes. Marlon Brando, people do not understand how much study American actors do. There's a guy named Thomas Jane who's in the film called The Punisher.
Yep.
He's filming a film right now up in Queensland. And I was in class with Tom for quite a few years at Strasberg. He was brilliant, not good. And when he got the role, a lot of Australian actors said, why are they giving it to this American guy? We've got all these actors here. And I'm like, guys, with all due respect, you don't know Tom. You don't know how much blood, sweat, and tears Tom has poured on a stage for one stupid scene. He would do a scene for 3-4 years.
Yep.
You don't understand the craft at such a level. So there's a lot of actors here. I can say I'm an actor.
I can't.
But many do. Many
Yep.
do. I can't say I'm a ballet dancer. I'll break my freaking neck. I can't do singing. Acting is the one art that everyone goes, yeah, I can act. And you go, no, let's separate the wannabes or the people that say they're actors to the actual actors. There are amazing actors here, but a lot of them don't have a skill, don't have a craft. They memorize their lines, they turn up the set, they say which camera, and they do their lines. And I'm like, that's got fucking nothing to do with acting. No understanding of character, no understanding of intention, no understand how all this stuff translates into the body. So when I say you don't know actors, it's not ego. I've been around amazing actors for 20 years.
Hey, I'm taking it
Yeah, I
on
know
board.
that. And I say to them, when I say that you're not an actor, they get defensive. And that's my beef with the industry here. Don't get defensive. We're here to work together. If I, as someone who's been doing this all my life, say, you know what, try that, it's not my opinion. There goes the mic. It's not my opinion, it's a suggestion. Try it. You know what they get here? They get defensive. Well, I think, yeah, you think based on what? And Stella taught me that. You think based on what? Not your opinion as David, your opinion as the character inside this script. That's where your opinion rests. If it doesn't make sense for the script and the character, then it's your personal opinion. Not interested in that. Not you personally. Does it make sense for the character? Does it make sense for the script? Actors understand that. Great actors understand that. So when you have this script that we ferment as a writer, if you gave it to your actors earlier to give them time, it takes time to learn the lines. It takes time to get into character, all these things. And I'll try and cut this story short because I can talk about this forever. There's a film called Patty Cakes. They shot in America. The actress, I forgot her name and I should have known it, she's a local girl here. She wasn't getting anywhere here. In America, she worked on the character for 9 months.
Whoa.
And they told her, you don't have the role yet.
Yep.
There's 3 or 4 of you developing this for 9 months. No money, no nothing.
Wow.
Here's the script, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
She eventually got the role.
Yeah.
The other actors were happy doing it. Actors in America are happy to spend a year preparing for a character. And when it happened, someone from here said, well, because the film, I think it sold for like $4 or $8 million immediately at Sundance. And someone said, well, that shows you what happens at a film festival. And this person, I won't say the name, but they're high up in some government granting body. And I didn't expect an answer writing this email, and I didn't get one. I said, with all due respect, what you said doesn't make any sense. We know what happens at Sundance. What you should have said is, wow, it's amazing what can happen when you give actors 9 months with a script. Mm-hmm. You can sell your product for millions of dollars. Mm. Our product doesn't sell very easily because the actors have the script for 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I can learn lines. Mm. That's about it. So it's got nothing to do with money. Mm. It's give skilled people, writers and actors and directors, the time to do their craft. So if we make a better product, we'll make more money as an industry and make more films. That way, all the good people will stay here, not go overseas. Because we should be making a lot of films here. Mm. And I'm against the big American films coming here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that work for the Australian actors?
Yeah, it's called cheap labor. If I hire you as an actor here, I don't pay you residuals. I don't pay you SAG rules and regulations.
Yep.
All right? And when I take my project, go back to America, where do you think all the profits go? We get what? A nice pat on the back. Are you kidding me? Mm. We should take all that money and say, you'll understand this. Where's our Death of a Salesman? Where's our Godfather? Where's all these American films? Where's our voice as an industry? Mm. We have it, but it should be a lot more. Mm. We're helping them do their voice. Mm. And I'm like, no, we're here to do our voice. Yeah. And I want to see our voice in our films and in our plays.
But didn't we fall into a bit of a heap a few years back because we were producing pretty crappy movies?
Yes.
And we got nowhere.
We got nowhere because we were producing shit films.
Yeah, and like they got funding from the different government bodies. I won't go there because we've had this conversation. We'll come back to acting. I want to ask you about a script. It's called 36. Is it called 36?
We're calling it 36. It's called Lamed Vav. I'm not Jewish, but in all my travels, I met a Jewish guy. It came through Barry Primus, by the way. And it's called the Lamed Vav. The Lamed Vav, this is the myth. There are 36 humble people in the world, every generation. And if anything was to happen to them, as the world as we know it would not exist. And I fell in love with that myth.
It's awesome. I love it.
And they cannot be in positions of power.
Okay.
So that way, I got told by a rabbi once, he said to me, that way you're nice to the homeless people. Because one of them could be a Lamed Vav.
Oh, okay.
And I wrote a feature with a friend of mine back in LA based on that. And it was a feature film, 20 years ago, some shit like that. And it went nowhere. But I fell in love with it. And then somehow someone said, this will make a great TV series. So I started taking the original script. Keep in mind, when we say a script, you're looking at 30 drafts or something like that. We've thrown out 80% of it, and we took that 20% and we made it into the 36. And that's basically, if you can understand Darth Vader and Star Wars, Darth Vader was a Jedi Knight. He went rogue. It's the same with 36. One of them said, screw this. I don't want to unite with the other 35 and let God bless the world. Screw the world, right? And that's the setup for it.
Yep.
And we're trying to make it into a TV series.
So you haven't let go of it?
No.
Because you've had it for, 20 years?
We've had it for 20-something years. We've finished the trailer. We made a trailer for the short. We've got a lot of the episodes written. And ironically, we sent it out of all days this morning to different, Netflix and things like this to see what they say. And now you're going to find out in about a month or two if you wasted 20 years of your life going, what are you, nuts or something? What is this piece of shit, But that's what you do in our industry. You do it because you love it.
Yeah. And you don't let go of something that you believe in. And good on you for that. I'm going to ask you about another script that you haven't got down the track as far.
Right.
It's called 30 Days of Coffee.
Oh, okay. 30 Days of Coffee came about long before Lamed Vav did, actually. All right? And what happened is this. It was a friend of mine who's in the show La Brea right now. She used to work at a coffee shop called the Bourgeois Pig. And the Bourgeois Pig is near Paramount and it's near Barry's house. So I used to leave my house in LA, and I used to start work at 10 because I'm not a morning person. 10 was pretty good. And I used to go to the Pig for a cup of coffee. I used to drop the kids off at school. Quickly, it wasn't Dad's going to go for coffee. It was Dad's going to go to work. No, he doesn't. He's trying to get to the Pig for 2 hours to have a coffee with people and chit-chat.
But it's also very famous in LA.
In that coffee shop,
Yep.
he's who used to hang out. One of our friends, Daylene Rodriguez, she's the key writer or creator of Queen of the South. Another guy, Steve Weisberg, was the editor for a lot of the Harry Potter films.
Oh, wow.
There's Steve Yeldon, who became a cinematographer, and he was a cinematographer for the last couple of Star Wars films. All these people were unknowns back then. We were all unknowns. There's Daylin, there's Karina Logue, who's now a star herself. And I remember my wife saying one day, well, look at all these guys, what happened to you? And I'm like, shut up, But it was a great vibe to go there, to hear these people struggle. And they all stayed with that. Even the guy who wrote American History X used to go there. All right? And because it was in the equivalent of South Yarra, near the Hollywood Hills,
Yep.
a lot of famous people would come in the morning to get their coffee. But you didn't say, oh my God, you're Mark Ruffalo or Mark Ruffalo, Drew Barrymore used to come up there quite a lot consistently to get their coffee. So you'd say hi, and you're all writing scripts. And there was one day the LA Times took a photo, and I wish I had it, I don't. And he'd had everyone. This person's working on a script, that person's working on a script, that person. And I came in the door and like 3 scripts in my hand, and I was reading them. I thought it would be beautiful if we followed each person.
Out of that coffee shop.
Out of that coffee shop. So we went now and had heard my story. And I could say to someone, David's a real fucking prick, whatever, And then you come back and you know that I've said that. Then we follow David's story. So you follow 6 to 8 people's stories, and then you see how they gel. The final thing is that they all gel, right? And I thought this would make a great story. And then I thought, wow, De Niro's in town a lot. One day I'll ask him, Bob, if I make this film, can you be an extra? So if we're doing our scene, Bob would just turn up and say, I'll have a short black. That's what he gets, you know what I'm saying, right? And he'll go. And then Bob said, if you get up, I'll turn up and buy a coffee.
Yeah.
And then because of that, we asked a bunch of other, let's call them famous people. Would you do it? Yeah, sure, if you set it up. But it never happened.
Yeah.
But I've still got it, and I still would like to make that here.
Yeah.
And I called it 30 Days of Coffee because the whole story would take place over 30 days. And my wife once asked me, when's it going to be ready? I said, in 30 days. And 30 days later, I said, I'm changing it to 30 years. It'll become 30 years of coffee, But I've got all good writers have at least 5 or 6 projects written, done, fermented, dead, that you've got to just keep writing.
Yep.
It's not about getting a grant and starting to write or,
Yep.
No, just write,
Yep.
All
right, so here you are, you're back in Melbourne, and you've been back for a while now.
10 years.
10 years. And you're now running, and it's your baby, the Melbourne Actors Lab. And we've been talking a lot about actors in this interview. Why would you start a lab? What is it? It's not a school.
Okay, I do tell people it's not a school. The Actors Lab, the name, came from the Lincoln Center in America. Had a theater called the Actors Lab. I stole that name.
It's quite famous.
It's quite famous. Yeah, and a lot of people have that vibe, and it is a lab in the sense of this. We're trying to get this vibe back because of COVID and all the shit going on. We've not lost our vibe. We need to find a vibe. What I liked about the lab is people would turn up. Classes were from 7 to 11. We would stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning. If someone got on stage and it was worth our time, we would sit there for 2 hours watching them. If someone got on stage, it was like they get off in 10 minutes. It really became a hardcore gym. I'm no good as a businessman. I'm no good in publicity and selling and all this stuff. But what we were good for and what we're known for is the quality of our work.
Yep.
And from the Actors Lab, we have gained 1 Logie nomination, 2 AACTA awards. One of our people right now is at MTC doing a play. The other one's up in Queensland doing a film. The other one's up in Sydney. She just signed a 2-year contract. None of this you'll find on our page. At best, I put a Facebook page, post, whatever. But the quality of work is there. And one thing that made me extremely happy, I had coffee with a bunch of old lab actors the other day. They call themselves lab rats. Every single one of them, it's the heart of the lab. There's about 20 or 30 of them. All of them are out there making their own films, winning awards across the world for short films.
Yep.
They're all making their own films. They're all making other people's films. And I thought, what else do you want from an acting school? We are, and I say this, people say, don't say it. No, it's true. And I say this, and I'll tell you why I say it. We are the poorest acting school in Melbourne, right?
What do you mean by that?
Well, we're at the Alex Theatre because we couldn't afford rent. Basically, Alex said, just turn up, man, all right? And we did. You know what I'm saying, all right? It's not about the money, and we need to take care of business. Of course we do. Everyone has to eat.
Yep.
But it's about the work. And where we are getting better now is for a long time, and I say this openly, the industry didn't give us much attention. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we weren't in people's faces. We weren't good with marketing. People didn't even know who we were. But every casting agent or every director would hear me on a project, from film sets and whatever. They go, I think I saw one of your actors. And I said, why? They said, the work. It just stood out.
Wow.
The work just stood out.
Yep.
And I get that a lot from casting people, from other directors that work on other films.
Yeah.
And my thing was to them was, why are you telling me privately?
Yeah.
This is the knowledge that we need to get out there.
But Peter, the really important thing is, yes, we've got to live, and you need to make a bit of money. But it's wonderful that the Alex is here and helping on us filming this as well.
Yes.
But it's passion, and that's what you're radiating is passion, and it would come across with the actors that are coming through the lab.
They do, and you know what? And I sense that when, I'm not kidding you guys, it's about the work. We are really about the work. We just say, hey, zip it, get on there. And I tell the people, I'm not interested, especially now at this stage of my life, I'm not interested in teaching acting students. A student does this. Hi, I'm here. Tell me what to do. What scene shall I do? Are you fucking kidding me? You don't know what scene you should do? You don't know what you're right for? Come on. You should be hounding me, coming up to me saying, I found a play, I have to get my teeth in it. That's an actor.
Yep.
An actor, I give an exercise, and I say, do this, and they go home, and they come back, and they've gone 10 steps ahead. If I give you an exercise, and you come back next, and you go, what did I do last week? And I go, are you kidding me? People don't realize how much this takes. It is the rest of your life. I used to do 3 classes at Stella's Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday. 4-hour classes. If you're doing, let's say 3, 4, 5, 10 classes a week, that's 40 hours a week of acting classes. For years, for 3 years right there, right? I don't know what the math is. But how is an actor who's only doing 1 a week meant to even come close to that? They can't. They want to think they can. And a lot of people also come to me and go, well, I don't, like whatever you teach. And I go, it's irrelevant what I teach. How's your career going? And I'm not being an asshole when I say that. I say, wake up. Because people are walking around Melbourne thinking like their career is going to happen. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be the voice of doom. But if you don't change gears, you're going nowhere. You better have a hunger for it. Get out there. Make a short film. Be in a play. Read a freaking play. I can't tell you a play and you don't know the freaking play. You kidding me? You know what I'm saying? That's how the whole industry gets boosted up.
Yep.
Across the board.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And we need that.
Yeah.
It's not enough to go, well, I'll get an agent and I'll get a headshot, and I go, yeah. And you're the 50th person to tell me that today? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but what about these days? I'm coming across a lot with the radio stuff that I do. There are so many little production companies now, or little new theatre companies that they're creating their own work for themselves.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Is that a smart thing?
I think it's what keeps me in Melbourne. It does.
Okay.
My issue is all these grassroots little filmmakers and theatres, they should work together with the establishment.
Yep.
The established things. Sadly, they don't. My wife said to me once, they don't share the knowledge here. right? And I was driving the car, and I remember I almost crashed. And I said, what do you mean? And she goes, she worked in the film industry, but she also worked as an accountant back then. And she said, as an accountant back in LA, if I do something, if I put the cup over here and I can deduct it more, I will share that knowledge with the other accountant. And I said to her, it's the same in the film industry over there. If we're making a film, and I tell David will tell, and other directors and other filmmakers will come to me and go, Peter, I heard you're making this film. You know, try this, try that. You need a table? I'll find it for you. They share the knowledge. Here we don't. David, we think we do.
Oh, really? Because I think it is happening.
You know where it's happening? But you know where it's happening, David?
What?
Down at the bottom.
It's
at
happening.
The grassroots level.
Yep.
Which, like I said at the beginning, that's what's keeping me here.
Yep.
These little theatre, they share the knowledge.
Yep.
The independent filmmaker who has zero money shares the knowledge. There's a massive gap between the established industry and all that. I talk to some people in the industry and I say, have you heard of this actor? Have you heard of this director? They go, no. Well, of course you fucking haven't. Because you don't let them in. They should.
Yeah.
In LA, they put their ear on the ground.
Yeah.
De Niro will turn up to a play. He will. And he says, I'll go to a play if I hear someone saying, hey, I saw such and such in a play. Hey, I heard. They talk. They don't do that here. They don't. The established industry doesn't gel with the unknowns, and it's got nothing to do with government grants and all that shit. It's just sharing the knowledge. Show me your frickin' work, will you? I want people to show me their work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Now you're actually, apart from your lab, you're actually putting your foot in the water a little bit with doing short films a lot more and getting involved in, like 36 might rear its head.
Here's why. Because we had at the lab some amazing scenes. Not good, brilliant. I mean, people would come by and filmmakers would come by and directors that are in the actual industry would come by and go, oh my God, I haven't seen acting like this. And I'm like, yeah, well, we're here every night. And I would always invite directors and stuff to drop by. You can't now as easily because of COVID, obviously, and shit like that. But people used to come by and see our work. So that's when we said, guys, let's make a theater. So we started doing theater productions in Brunswick. We had a room that for 4 years it was empty. We just put crap in there. And we opened a little 50-seater. No permits, no nothing. We just opened it, and it was full. And we started putting productions on that the rule was if we were happy with it, we loved it. No critics came, no one came. I put up an ad, and I still remember this. We have a 50-seater, give us all your plays. Here's the one rule. We need 6 months to work on your play. We got one person. I'm not kidding you.
Whoa.
One. That's a true story.
Wow.
One. We said, are you willing to rewrite your stuff? Well, no, I'm not. It's precious. Well, how precious is it? Do you want to leave it on your fucking dining room, right? At the Actors Studio, there's a guy named Mark Rydell, amazing director. He directed The Rose. And there's a guy, Lyle Kessler. He wrote Orphans, the play. Brilliant writer. And they have a playwrights and directors unit. So you come as a director, I come as a playwright, and we workshop our play together for 6 months, a year. Kazan started doing that with Tennessee Williams, ironically. They worked a lot together. And you can find a lot of this stuff online, by the way. And they developed stuff. People don't know that Marlon Brando did Streetcar 800 times before they film it. Actors haven't done a fucking production here for 8 times, let alone 800 years. So you see the quality of the work.
Yep.
So they developed, remember we talked about fermenting a product? So we tried to do that at the lab. Ironically, we couldn't. A lot of it had to do with the writers. But we developed it as actors. And then Alex Vass from the theater here came to see us once, says, why don't you, and I love the guy because there was no heating, freezing cold, and he sat there through the whole thing, 2.5 hour play in a shitty chair. Our chairs were very uncomfortable. And Susan, his wife, came to me, she goes, I think he likes it. I said, why? Because he hasn't left. He said, why aren't you in a bigger theater? I said, we got no money. We're barely paying the rent here. And he said, come to the theater. That's why we're here. So what happened is we did about 10 to 15 plays. No government grants, nothing of that.
Yep.
We just broke even or made some money based on ticket sales. So word of mouth was very, very good. Same as the lab, by the way. Most people go word of mouth. And I'm like, well, what? I always say, what toilet did you hear about it? You know, right? But so what happened is after all that, then COVID happened. And I thought, shit, you know what? We've done all these plays. We've got nothing to show for it. Absolute nothing. A poster? Really? And then I thought, what do I want to do with my life right now? I'm at these crossroads. And the first voice that came to me without even questioning went, I still want to teach acting.
Yep.
Not an issue there. I'd like to teach a small group of actors. You know what I'm saying? And I want to make film. Because with film, I can show it to you, COVID or no COVID, say, here's our product.
Yep.
And I was always into writing. I always wrote. So then very slowly, I started making shorts. And the reason why we're making shorts is I can find my crew. I want to find my cinematographers, my people. So we learn to work together. So then we focus on the work, not to get to know how everyone works. So if we make these short films, I made a short film 7 or 8 years ago, and he got Best Writer in Moscow, which is my favorite freaking award, right? With a wonderful actor named Justin Hosking. He's brilliant, right? And so I thought I should have made more films because I would have had more films to show. So that's our focus now.
Okay.
Make short films so then we can make the features, which ironically I've written the features. You know, like they're 70, 80% there. It just needs to be cleaned up. So if I can make these 3 or 4 short films, I can then go to someone and say, we've made these 3 or 4 short films. We now need to make a feature. Are you willing to back it up with some money? Because you need money.
Of course.
The way we made the short, I'm not kidding you, I think my cousins started avoiding me after a while because I would have asked him for like 8 to 10 grand. Hey man, I'm going to make a film, whatever.
Well, because I was going to ask you that. The problem with film is it costs.
It costs.
So, but asking people,
yes.
Like, will you help out on this?
I've had one cousin. She gave us the money. She was lovely. She was on set. She had ideas. Another cousin came. He said, "Here's the money. I don't care what you do with it." Right?
How lovely.
How lovely. Yeah. Right? But the next one we're making for close to zero, and it's just you got to make it somehow.
Yep.
Just make a film. If it costs you $2,000 or $200, you'll be amazed. If the project is good, you'll get it made. People volunteer the time.
If you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come. But you better build it well.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I always tell people this. Always respect the money, people.
Yep.
You have to.
Uh-huh.
I always respect money on a set. If I can get this for $50 less, I will. If I can get it for free, I will. But as the respect also comes with balancing the quality of the work. You can't sacrifice quality. That has to be there. You know what I'm saying? There's a wonderful producer, Lawrence Bender. He produced a lot of Quentin Tarantino's film, which I'd met because of the in crowd, Marty Scorsese and Bob and all these people. They'd go to restaurants. And he took 6 months worth of acting classes at Strasberg, learning to do coffee cup, which is what we teach at the lab. And he said, I did that so I can get to work better with the actors. Because if I work better with the actors, my dollar will end up on screen. And I thought, that's what makes a producer. Find me a producer that does that here. It's hard. He needs to know about actors so I can make actors more comfortable so they do their work. And I go, that's the kind of thing we're looking for. And every money person I talk to says, I don't want your money. I actually want your ideas and your input. No one's above the project.
Yep.
There's no ego.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Let's all put our mind together to make this film. And that's what we're doing now. We're making one film after the next, working towards features and stuff.
Well, they better be good quality, otherwise
if I like them, if I'm happy with them, it's okay. I'm my worst judge. I will hang myself, freaking kill myself. I'm my worst judge. If I like it, I go, yep, good stuff. You know.
Peter, what a pleasure it's been chatting with you today.
Thank you.
And all the very best.
Thank you, I appreciate it. As an industry, we need to just move forward and get product made.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm David Hunt, and thank you for watching The Art Hunter. We'll see you again real soon, but not him, not Peter.
Take care.